Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. Today we are talking about public speaking confidence, a skill that can help you at school, at work, and in everyday life. If you have ever felt nervous before speaking in front of a group, you are definitely not alone. Many people feel that way. But the good news is that confidence is a skill, not a personality trait you either have or do not have.
That is such an important idea. Confidence is something you can build step by step. You do not need to become a perfect speaker overnight. In fact, a helpful phrase to remember is progress, not perfection. That means small improvements matter. If you speak a little more clearly today than you did last week, that is real progress.
Exactly. Let us start with one useful vocabulary word, stage fright. Stage fright means nervousness before or during a speech or performance. The word stage can mean a real stage, but here it also means any situation where people are watching you. You can have stage fright even in a classroom, a meeting, or a video call. So if your heart beats faster before speaking, that is a normal human reaction.
And another useful word is audience. Your audience is the group of people listening to you. When you know your audience, your speech becomes easier to shape. For example, if you are speaking to classmates, you can use simple examples. If you are speaking to coworkers, you may use more practical language. Thinking about the audience helps you choose the right words and tone.
Let us talk about the biggest secret of confident speakers. They are not always the most talented people in the room. Often, they are the people who prepare well. Preparation lowers stress because your brain feels safer when it knows what to expect. One practical tip is to write a very simple structure. You can use 3 parts: opening, main points, and closing.
Yes, 3 parts is easy to remember. In the opening, you can greet the audience and say what your topic is. In the main part, you give your key ideas with examples. In the closing, you summarize your message. This structure is powerful because it gives you a roadmap. A roadmap is a plan that shows you where to go. Without a roadmap, people often get lost in the middle of a speech.
Let us explain another helpful word, concise. Concise means using only the necessary words. For public speaking, concise is a superpower. If you speak too long, people may stop paying attention. If you speak clearly and briefly, your message becomes stronger. A good question to ask yourself is, can I say this in fewer words? If the answer is yes, simplify it.
I like that. Simplicity is often better than complicated language. Many learners think they need fancy vocabulary to sound intelligent, but that is not always true. Clear language is usually more effective. For example, instead of saying, I am going to discuss multiple dimensions of the issue, you might say, I want to talk about the main problem and a few solutions. That sounds natural and easy to understand.
Another tip is to practice aloud. Silent reading is useful, but speaking is a physical skill. Your mouth, tongue, breathing, and rhythm all need practice. If you only think about your speech in your head, it can feel very different when you say it out loud. Try speaking while looking at notes, then without notes, then in front of a mirror, and finally in front of a friend.
That gradual practice can reduce anxiety. Anxiety is a strong feeling of worry or fear. A little anxiety can actually help you focus, but too much can make you freeze. If you feel anxious, try this simple breathing technique. Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out slowly for 4 seconds. This can calm your body and help your voice sound steadier.
Let us pause on one word, steady. Steady means calm, even, and not shaky. You want your voice to sound steady, your pace to be steady, and your message to be steady. One mistake many speakers make is talking too fast. When people rush, they swallow words and lose clarity. A slower pace may feel strange at first, but it helps listeners follow you.
That is true. Speaking slowly is not the same as speaking boringly. You can still sound interesting. The key is to use pauses. A pause is a short silence between ideas. Pauses give your audience time to think, and they give you time to breathe. A good pause can make an important point sound stronger. So do not fear silence. Silence can be a tool.
Another useful phrase is body language. Body language is the way you use your body to communicate. Good posture, eye contact, and open gestures can make you look more confident. Posture means the way you hold your body. If you stand or sit up straight, you usually feel more alert and prepared. Eye contact helps listeners feel connected to you, even if you are a little nervous.
And gestures are the movements of your hands and arms. You do not need dramatic movements. Simple, natural gestures are enough. In fact, if your hands are frozen, you may look more tense. A practical tip is to keep your hands relaxed and use them to support your message. For example, you can count ideas on your fingers or gently emphasize an important word.
Here is a very useful idea for English learners: memorize your first 2 sentences. The beginning is often the hardest part because your brain is warming up. If you know exactly how to start, you can enter the speech more smoothly. Your first lines can be simple, like, "Today I want to talk about," or "I have 3 ideas to share about."
That is a smart strategy. When people know the opening well, they feel less pressure. And once you get past the first sentence, momentum builds. Momentum means forward movement or energy that keeps growing. In speaking, momentum happens when your ideas start flowing naturally. So the beginning is like pushing a bicycle. Once it is moving, it becomes easier to keep going.
Let us talk about another practical habit: use examples. Examples make abstract ideas easier to understand. If you say confidence matters, that is general. But if you tell a short story about asking a question in class or giving a presentation at work, people can imagine the situation. Stories are memorable because they feel real and human.
Exactly. Storytelling is one of the best communication skills you can learn. A story does not need to be long. It can be just 3 sentences: what happened, what problem you faced, and what you learned. That simple structure helps people connect with you. It also helps you sound more natural because stories often feel conversational.
Here is a phrase that is useful in both speaking and writing: key point. Your key points are the most important ideas in your message. If you have too many key points, then none of them feel special. That is why many good speeches focus on 2 or 3 strong ideas. Think of it like a meal. Too many dishes can be overwhelming. A few good dishes are satisfying.
That comparison makes sense. Another tip is to record yourself. I know many people do not enjoy hearing their own voice, but it is one of the fastest ways to improve. When you listen to a recording, you may notice pauses, filler words, or unclear pronunciation. Filler words are words like you know, and like. Using them sometimes is normal, but too many can make you sound less clear.
Yes, filler words are common, especially when we are thinking. The goal is not to eliminate every single one. The goal is to become aware of them. Awareness is the first step toward improvement. If you notice that you say before every sentence, try replacing it with a short pause. A pause sounds more confident than a filler word.
This is also a good time to mention feedback. Feedback is information that helps you improve. You can ask a friend, teacher, or coworker for feedback after a short speech. A useful question is, what was clear, and what could I improve? That gives you specific advice instead of vague praise. Specific feedback is easier to use.
Another powerful concept is rehearsal. Rehearsal means practice before the real event. Actors rehearse before a performance, and speakers should rehearse too. But be careful, rehearsal is not the same as memorizing every single word. If you memorize word for word, you may panic if you forget one line. It is often better to memorize ideas, not sentences.
Great point. Ideas are flexible, sentences are fragile. If you know the main idea of each section, you can adapt if something goes wrong. Maybe you forget a phrase or notice the audience looks confused. That is okay. You can slow down, restate your point, and continue. Flexibility is part of confidence.
Let us also talk about mindset. Mindset means the way you think about a situation. If your mindset is, "I must not make any mistakes," then public speaking feels terrifying. But if your mindset is, "I am here to share something useful," then the pressure becomes lighter. You do not need to sound perfect. You just need to be helpful and clear.
I love that. Helpful and clear are much better goals than perfect. Another tip for learners is to use signposting language. Signposting language helps listeners follow your structure. Phrases like first, second, for example, in addition, and finally guide the audience through your ideas. It is like putting signs on a road so people know where they are going.
That vocabulary is especially useful in presentations. For example, you can say, first, I want to explain the problem. Second, I will share 2 solutions. Finally, I will give 1 recommendation. Those small signals make your speech easier to understand. They also give you confidence because you always know what comes next.
We should also mention the importance of connection. A speech is not a test where you fight against the audience. It is a chance to connect with them. When you focus on connection, you become less self-conscious. Self-conscious means worried about how you look or sound. Instead of thinking, do I sound strange? You can think, am I helping these people understand my idea?
That is a wonderful shift. One final practical tip is to speak from notes, not from a full script, when you can. Notes give you freedom to be natural. A full script can make your voice sound stiff because you are reading instead of speaking. If you need notes, keep them short and use keywords, not whole paragraphs.
So let us wrap up with a quick recap. Today we learned that public speaking confidence is a skill you can build. We talked about stage fright, audience awareness, concise language, practice, breathing, body language, pauses, stories, feedback, rehearsal, mindset, and signposting language. Remember the big idea: progress, not perfection.
And here is your challenge for this week. Choose 1 small speaking task. It could be introducing yourself more clearly, asking a question in class, or giving a 1-minute opinion on a topic you like. Record yourself, practice aloud, or ask for feedback. Small steps create real confidence over time.
Thanks for listening to the English Daily Podcast. If this episode helped you, subscribe and come back tomorrow for more practical English learning tips. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember that every confident speaker started as a beginner.